This is TWiT.
Now, let me introduce our guest. As you said, Jeff, always a thrill to talk to Kevin Kelly. Do you want to introduce him, Jeff? Since he's...
No, you should. You should.
All right. Man, I guess my first experience with Kevin Kelly was the Whole Earth catalog back in my youth that Stuart Brand did. Kevin was very much involved in. It was the quintessential pre-internet catalog of great things. Steve Jobs referred to it in a very famous speech, the tagline at the end of the last Whole Earth catalog, "Stay hungry, stay foolish." Then founded the Hackers Conference in 1984, served as a founding board member of The Well, which I was on, the Whole Earth Electronic Link, which was an amazing online community, kind of pre-internet, although I remember Kevin dropping out of The Well into a Unix prompt. And in my first experience of the internet was using Archie and Gopher on the Wells servers. So that was amazing.
It was the first public access to the internet.
Yeah. And it blew me away. Mm-hmm. He is the co-chair of the Long Now Foundation, which is a really interesting project to think about things long term and the long bets, and of course that clock of the long now.
Is the clock in a mountain?
Is it still? Of course it is. It's got to be.
Is it still?
Has it been 10,000 years yet, Leo?
It's just about started to tick almost. We've had a couple trial ticks.
Oh, so it isn't actually operating yet?
No, not fully.
Interesting. It's a really so there's so many interesting projects. I could really get stuck in all of this. You've been reviewing a cool tool every day for 20 plus years, with the Whole Earth Access to Tools philosophy. He's also written a couple of books about things he has learned in his life, which every young person, Paris Martineau, should read. His newest book, though, I'm really excited about. You've got an art book. You've been going to Asia for 50 years.
Yes.
Taking pictures.
Yes.
And this is your Substack,
right.
KK at kk.org. Tell us about the new book.
Yeah. Well, the new book is called Colors of Asia, and it's based on the 300,000 images I took over 50 years in the most remote parts of Asia.
Amazing.
And so there are these really kind of interesting esoteric stuff of things that are disappearing from Asia, customs, ceremonies, costumes, but they're weirdly and funnily all arranged by color. So there's something about paying attention to color that I think is kind of cool, because you have all these images that aren't related to each other geographically, but only by their color, and that kind of forces a new association in your mind. So Colors of Asia, available now.
Wow. Where is that available? Is that on your website?
Yeah, it's on our website.
KK.org.
KK.org. There's a little Shopify. I can send you a link later on.
Okay. Well, people go there, and there's a lot of other things you're going to want to read at KK.org, because
this is an image. The background image is an image I took in the Himalayas in Kashmir.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Just gorgeous.
What do you shoot with?
Yeah, I was just going to ask.
What do I shoot with?
Yeah.
These days, I'll show you the best camera I've ever used in my life.
I figured.
iPhone.
Are you just shooting in the native camera app, or do you use any?
It doesn't matter. It's by far the best camera I have ever owned.
Wow.
And that's partly because I never owned a professional level camera. I always shot in kind of amateur level because it doesn't really matter. And of course, a lot of those images were shot with film, which is horrible for capturing images. It's grainy, it's very low res, it's very low light sensitive. The digital sensors are superior in every way. So this is all that I carry now, even when I'm photographing seriously.
Wow.
This one, the 17 Pro with the telephoto lens, it's like the best.
Wow. This is one of the things I love about Kevin. He loves technology. You love technology.
Well, yeah. I'm pretty. What I should say. I try everything, but I only keep a little bit. I'm pretty selective.
Yeah, as you should be.
I review lots of things. I feel no obligation to use things that aren't really benefiting me. And I've been wrong about lots of stuff. One of the things you didn't mention is I organized like the first public access to the VR. In Cyberthon, we had this thing where for 24 hours, if you bought the ticket, you could come try all the best VR stuff, Jaron Lanier's, VPL, everybody's. And I kind of thought that was going to be coming really soon. But each time I try on these headsets, I don't want to keep them on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
That's my complaint exactly.
I think they have to be magic glasses. I think
I agree 100%.
where they can hear everything, they can have senses. They have to be really lightweight and unobtrusive. They're just too bulky. The technology is just not ready. It's like having cell phones versus having smartphomes.
Right.
We just haven't gotten there yet. I think we will, but we haven't yet.
It's like having a Windows CE phone.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So I wanted to get you on, and Jeff wanted to get you. We all wanted to get you on because of your, I think, unique take on AI, which I think is the most sensible thing I've ever read. We debate a lot on this show about AI and its value, its merits, whether it is overhyped, whether it will be truly useful, whether it's a bubble, whether the cost to the environment is too great. But you have a different point of view, which I kind of like. I don't want to characterize it for you. I'll let you do that. But what I thought was really interesting is that you think of AI not as artificial human intelligence. They're artificial aliens, you say.
Right. Yeah.
Tell me about that.
There's several things wound up in there. One is as I kind of insist, at least to myself, to talk about AIs, plural, because I don't think there is this one uniform, generic, universal AI. I think it's like machines. We don't talk about the machine in our life, doing stuff for the machine. We have machines, and they're all different. They have different talents, they have different abilities, they have different regulatory regimes, they have different business models. A jet is very different from a flashlight. They're both machines. And AIs are going to be like that in the sense that the possibility space of possible minds is very, very large. Huge space of possible intelligences and minds. And ours, we'll see in time, is at the edge. It's not a universal, it's not at the center. We've never been at the center of anything. Humans are always at the edge. We're not at the center of evolution. We're not at the center of the solar system. We're not the center of the galaxy. And we aren't the center of intelligences. And so people think of intelligence as a kind of like an element, and I think it's more like a compound. That it's a compound made up of elemental particles of cognition. We don't have the periodic table of those cognitions yet. We're working on that. But we combine them in different ways to make a compound. And our compounded thing that we call intelligence, we don't really know what it is one of many, many types. And it's not a ladder where they're going up like decibels. It's a very large space. And animals have another kind of a compound using some of the same cognitive elements and some that are different. And AIs that we're going to engineer are going to have others, combinations of those, will do different things. And at some point, we may have consciousnesses that also are high dimensional space, and we'll give it to some of them. And so we might have beings that can think and have some self-reflection and stuff. But the point is that they will be in a different space. There'll be like, I don't know, like Spock on Star Trek. He was not human. He was aware. He could make jokes. He could try to make jokes. He could
kind of, yeah,
kind of, and so he had a different sense of humor. And so the best way to think of the things that we're making is that they can achieve much. They have different kinds of intelligences, and therefore our relationship to them will be similar to aliens. And these are artificial aliens in the sense that they aren't necessarily like above or below us. They're other. And that's the whole point of the fact that they don't think like us. They may arrive at the same answer that we get to sometimes, but they get to it in a different path, which is important.
Do you think we're misguided trying to make them more like us?
No, I think it's natural that in the beginning, because we have only one example, and so we want to try to do it. And then there's another advantage too of trying to make them like us, which is this is an interface, the human interface, the human emotional interface is something that we don't have to be trained for. There's a gravity to it. We're naturally attracted to it. So the more it's like us, the easier it is for us to work with it. And so we're going to make some like that we have to interface, but 99% of the AIs that we're going to make, we will never encounter at all. They're going to be agent to agent. They're going to be dealing with other AIs. 99% of the AI compute cycle will be completely invisible to us, which is good because technologies succeed by becoming invisible. It's when they're invisible that they've really succeeded. So we don't actually want to deal with most of the AI in the world. There's only a few 1% that we're ever going to deal with. And there, we kind of want them to have some human-like scale, some human-like interfaces. And so there will be some attempt. But we can't actually, even if we wanted to, we can't actually make them think exactly like AI, because I think the Church-Turing hypothesis is wrong. The Church-Turing hypothesis in computer science says that given infinite tape, infinite time, all computation is identical. It's universal. Well, the difference is that there isn't infinite storage and infinite time. And if you have real time and limited resources, computation is not identical. It actually matters what substrate things are run on. And if you're trying to run an intelligence on wet neurons, it will not be the same run on dry silicon. It's just not going to be the same. So even if we wanted to, we couldn't make it identical to humans. But I understand the reason for making it like humans, but in fact, most of the ones we're going to make are going to deliberately engineer it to not be like us. The LLMs don't think like us because none of us could possibly memorize all the things on the internet, but they can. It's inhuman. It's alien. And the thing is that in the world of today, the engines of innovation and wealth is thinking different. Think different. And we need these AIs to help us think different. If we're all connected 24 hours a day to each other, we need the help of thinking different. Otherwise, we're going to have groupthink. And there are going to be problems, scientific problems, business problems that we and our own kinds of minds cannot solve. And we need to work with other minds that we invent to help us solve the problems that our own kinds of minds can't solve. So there's many reasons to make them different.
One idea you've espoused is that the doomers are kind of one of the biggest proponents of AI hype, which I feel like is a bit of a counterintuitive narrative in its face. Could you explain a little bit?
So the hype version is that there is this immediate, fast takeoff that you invent an AI that can invent an AI smarter than itself. And then you have this ad infinitum where it's doing that, but each time it does the cycle faster. And so you have this sort of almost instant godhood. And that either the new AI guy will do one of either two things: kill us all or make us immortal. It's like nothing in between. And so I think there's lots of things wrong with that view. And I would begin with the idea I called thinkism. Thinkism is this idea that you only need intelligence to solve things. I think intelligence is way overrated. And so most is middle-aged guys who like to think, who think that thinking is the most important thing in the world. And if you took the brightest person who ever lived, maybe Einstein, to put him in a cage with a tiger, who lives? It's not the smartest person. We've all been present with founder types and other great leaders. They're not the smartest people in the world, but they get the things done. So we need other qualities besides IQ. So I think there's an overemphasis on IQ as the way things happen, the way things that are needed to happen in the world. And one of the things that we see right now, I think is a little dangerous, is we have, as we all know, the best adoption of the current LLM models has been coders, right? They're coding, and all the AI companies are using massive amounts of AI code to generate the next version. But what I'm concerned with is that you have AI code that's optimized to write AI code that's optimized to write AI code. And you have this convergence on a very narrow kind of AI that's really good for making AI,
Right.
and not good for anything else. And so, I mean, right now, the models that we have been trained on knowledge. They're incredibly knowledge-based. The kind, again, the varieties, there's all these varieties of intelligence and AIs, and the variety that we've made so far is knowledge-based AI. It's not based on reality. It's based on words about reality. And so it's really good at answering knowledge questions. It has a little bit of reasoning, which is still knowledge-based reasoning, but it lacks all kinds of things. The reason why we don't have robots in our lives is because it doesn't have any good sense of common sense. It doesn't have a good sense of physical spatial awareness, and it hasn't been trained on those things. And so what we want is to broaden the varieties of kinds of AIs that we have. And I think the idea of just making knowledge intelligence, and that would be a fast takeoff, and then that would generate an AI that could then solve all our problems or else kill us all. I think is a fantasy. It's a romantic idea, and furthermore, there's no evidence at all that this is happening. Ray Kurzweil likes to talk about exponential growth of intelligence. Well, there hasn't been any exponential increase in the reasoning. What there's been has been an exponential increase in the compute, the inputs necessary to make a fairly small increase from GPT-4 to 5. And so it's an inverse relationship with the happening going on. And so there isn't an exponential rise in the abilities of the output. It isn't increasing with orders of magnitude each cycle. It's very, very small, in part because we don't even know or have any measurement for what something outside of human intelligence would even look like. So for those reasons, I don't believe that the doomer or the hyper's version of AI is happening, and it's the doomers who believe this most. And they're the ones who actually promote the idea that this is going to happen instantly, that it will happen so fast that we won't be able to control it, and that once it starts, we're out of control and we have no options. And there's simply no evidence at all that anything like that is even beginning or even near beginning.
We're talking to Kevin Kelly. He is one of the founding executive editor of Wired Magazine, still at Wired Magazine, where he is their maverick editor. He has his own Substack and many books. You can find them at kk.org, including the new book, The Colors of Asia. You know, it's really interesting. The first time I think we talked on TWiT, Kevin, was back when your book, What Technology Wants, came out. That was just 15, 16 years. It was a while ago. Right. 9 years ago, in The Inevitable, you talked about cognifying, which you define as embedding AI into everything. This is not 2016 you're talking about this, into everything we manufacture. I think you have, I don't know if it was your intent or not, but you've been fairly prescient about the future and about AI. Do you feel like we're living out kind of that roadmap that you expected back in 2010?
2010, things were moving pretty slowly in AI, and I kind of thought that would be the rate that they would go.
We'd lived through a few AI winners by then.
Yeah. They've been ups and downs, and actually, Marvin Minsky, among others, kind of discredited neural nets as actually being an option. And I think what happened was they were kind of slowly moving along, and it seemed like, well, it's going to take decades and decades for us to get anywhere. And then the shocking surprise was the LLMs, where you have language translation software suddenly generating little glimmers of reasoning, which was completely unexpected to everybody, including those who were working on it. And then the second surprise was, well, if you scale them up, if you make them even bigger, they actually made more reasoning. And that if you kept making them bigger and bigger, the reasoning kept increasing. And again, that was a shock to everybody. And so suddenly you have this little quantum leap in performance after a long time of very, very slow and steady. And that's been a surprise. And that's the reason why finally people are kind of admitting that, in fact, there is creativity at some level in these. There is reasoning. There is a kind of a thought. There are all these emergent properties that people have to acknowledge now. So finally, we're at the state where people can kind of believe in some of the things that have been talked about for a very, very long time. They're kind of like, you can't get around them. And so that's the exciting part but we're still at day one. We're still at day one. I mean, I think in 30 years from now, people will look back and they'll say, you didn't even have AI in 2020.
Yeah, right.
What were you talking about? That wasn't there. So we're still at day one in terms of where we need to go. But now people can kind of believe it. They can kind of understand it. They can kind of see it. And that's a big step.
Yeah.
Kevin, can I probe something you said earlier, which I think was very insightful, as is usual for you, that we're not going to know 95%, 99% of the AIs that we deal with.
Yeah.
That'll be visible only in a small number, which I think is right. And as I've tried to study the history of technology, I believe that inevitably, when tools become familiar, from the printing press on, the technologist and the technology fades in the background, and people take it over. And it strikes me that AI is the technology that is made by technologists that no technologists people don't need to be a technologist to use. Right? And that it's made purposefully, designed purposefully to be so easy. No. So I'm curious your view of the fate of the technologist. Do they?
Are they designing themselves out of a job? Is what
A, do they design themselves out of a job? B, is this an opportunity for us to kind of it's the revenge on Sputnik that humanities majors get to take it over again? Do they become right now? They seem all powerful, but are they in fact creating the technology that makes them less powerful? What do you think their fate is?
Yeah. I'm guessing again. So far, in terms of the way people are using it, I'm just. It feels like so far that this is Centaur partnership relationship. It's Kirk and Spock. You don't want either Kirk alone. You don't want Spock alone. You need them both to conquer the universe. And so I think
right now Scotty's in charge, but we'll get past that.
I think that. I think that even in the future, the AIs will need us, and you'll say, well, what will they need us for? I think they'll need us to be human, and I think it's going to be a long journey in their education to bring them up to be what we want them to be. I mean. The thing about these is that we are demanding that the AIs be better than us. In their, when we give them ethical codes and morality codes, we're saying you have to be a lot better than the average person, and maybe even better than the best of us, because in our own lives, our human ethical standards and morals are very lax, very uneven, very shallow. Mm-hmm. And we're not accepting that from the AIs. No, you have to be consistent. You've got to be elevated. You have to be the best we can imagine. And that's part of the challenge is, what does that look like? But the point is that I think we're elevating them. And that process of kind of getting them to be at the point where we really want them to be, I think they need us in the way of parents or teachers to get to that point. It's hard to say what happens after a couple hundred years, but I think at least as far as I can see, that they'll need us as teachers just as we need them for different kind of thinking, and to solve other kinds of problems. So I think our own existence and our own kind of broader intelligence is, again, broader than just IQ. I think it's a wide kind of experience that we've gained after hundreds of thousands of years of being on the planet, and we're not really conscious of it. I think it's going to take us some decades, or maybe more, to understand what it is and to be able to not just pass it to them, but elevate it at the same time. So the business that we're in is making ourselves better humans. The AIs are just our helpers in doing that. And of course, we're going to make them really cool too, but we're making them to make us better humans.
I love that idea. The relationship is that we're the teacher.
I do think that there is a contingent, Larry Page might be the best example, who think that we have failed as humans and who have put hope in the AI as the next step in evolution, that we are imperfect. And that's one of the reasons they put so much emphasis on perfecting these AIs, that they are to be our successors. Is that nuts?
No, I think it's, I wouldn't say we have failed. I would say that we can still be improved, that there's room for
Yeah, definitely we can be improved. But I think there's a certain fatalism in some people that, humans haven't done such a great job, and maybe we can spawn the next step in evolution.
Yeah. I mean, what's the alternative? For me, I think every step of the way in technology, I always say you have to say compared to what? AI has problems. Compared to what?
Right.
If we don't use AIs to make us better, then compared to what? What's the alternative? What's the other system? And so, I take the optimist view. I'm a radical optimist, and my optimism is a deliberate choice. I choose to be more optimistic every year because I believe that optimism is how we shape the future.
But you're not making that choice in the face of despair. You're not making that choice, a conscious choice.
Yeah. It's in the face of despair. It's in the face of all this terrible stuff. I am choosing to be more optimistic because it is only through optimism that we can imagine a world that's complicated and complex that we want. We're not going to get there accidentally. We have to actually imagine it and believe that we can get there. That is the optimism that I have.
It's not an easy position, though. The world wants the dystopia sells. Optimism doesn't.
Right, and the thing about it is my optimism is based on this very tiny fraction that if we can create 1 or 2% more than we destroy every year, that is progress. Yeah. That 1 or 2% compounded over centuries is progress. Mm-hmm. So that means that 49% of the world could be utter, terrible, disaster, horrible. And so you make a list of all the things wrong with the world, and I say, yes, you're right. But I'm going to make another corresponding list of all the things that are great about the world, and it'll be 1 or 2% better. And in that 1 or 2% is my optimism. And if you look around, 1 or 2% is hardly noticeable. You can't really see that unless you look around behind you and you see the compounding effect of it over time, then it's visible. So right now, it's not visible because it's 49% terrible, horrible disaster. And so my choice of optimism is based on that that the world is just a little tiny bit better than it was last year.
It's funny. It's one of the reasons I'm very interested in reading a lot of history. Right. Because it always reassures me that, it could be worse.
Man,
we've been here before.
The early history, the politics of the U.S., and you realize
it could be a lot worse.
Crazy as it is, it has been crazier.
You call this protopia as opposed to dystopia or utopia. Right. I really like this point of view. I wish I could live it. I really like it. What do you do to keep yourself in that mindset?
I find, like you said, the long view helps optimism. The longer your view, the easier it is to be optimism. And that long now here we are long now. Instead of the last 5 minutes, the next 5 minutes, or the last quarter and the next quarter, even the last year, next year, you look at the last 5,000 years and the next 5,000 years, or even, the last 100 years, the next 100 years, it's easier to be optimistic because the inevitable ups and downs, inevitable setbacks, inevitable depressions are overwhelmed by the accumulation of the good stuff over time. And so it's easier if you take the longer the view, and the longer the view, both the back and to the forward, the little easier it is to be optimistic.
The Clock of the Long Now is a really good example of this. You can read about it on their website.
Yeah. So it's meant to, Stewart, who was working on it with Danny Hillis, made the analogy of the way he was involved with the beginning of the environmental movement and the way of the picture of the whole Earth floating in space.
The big blue marble.
Galvanized people's empathy, galvanized people's understanding of the fact that you can't throw anything away. There's nothing to throw away. That we are just one big system, and that it's very fragile in that sense. And so we were trying to do the same thing with long-term thinking, is having this monumental clock in a mountain that's ticking by itself, mostly, for 10,000 years, and to ask, well, what else can we do if we can measure time, if there's something paying attention, what else should we be paying attention to over that kind of generational time scales? What could we do? How could we be a good ancestor so that people in the coming generations would thank us for what we did right now? I hope people will be thanking Jimmy Wales for Wikipedia centuries from now.
Yeah.
And they'll be thanking Brewster Kahle centuries from now for backing up not just the internet, but everything else, including all the television and radio and everything else. And so we want to be doing things now, maybe involved in things that may not even be completed in our own lifetime. We get them started. I've been campaigning for something I call public intelligence. I would like to have a version of AI that's not owned by just corporations or a government. You have something that's owned by the commons. It's a commons AI, and it's something that's publicly funded, publicly accessible, publicly managed. It's got it's trained on all languages and all the texts of the world, whether they're copyrighted or not. It's the common AI for us. And that would be my dream. And that's the kind of a thing that I think a long now view can help make come about.
That was kind of me. I mean, so you write and publish books. You helped found Wired. You did the Whole Earth catalog. I read in your bio that your father was at Time magazine.
That's right.
So you've got ink in the veins. What do you think happens to legacy media in this world?
Asking for a friend, Jeff says.
Exactly. Well, right now they probably don't consider me a friend.
Legacy media. I'm not sure what you mean by legacy media. Are you talking about cable TV?
I'm talking about any of it. Mass media.
Great question.
No,
At this point,
magazine,
podcast.
It took me a long
cable TV, any of it.
Okay. It took me a long time to realize when people talked about what the media says, they were talking about what cable TV said. It never even occurred to me that was what was meant by that. There's several things about that. One is I'm a big advocate of what I call the audience of one. I think one of the things that the AIs are going to enable us to do is to generate more and more things where the only audience for it is the co-creator. It's and including feature-length films for an audience of one.
Wow.
And so there's that at the bottom, but in terms of kind of a communal media, a mainstream media that's shared by many, I think our culture has moved. We're people of the book, and we're no longer people of the book. We're people of the screen, and the screen with this moving images, and eventually even with three-dimensional volumetric immersion, is going to be the center of the culture. So there will be books forever, but they aren't going to be at the center of the culture. And I think we'll have different ways of communicating, different ways of even different ways of reading. And I think that there'll be another set of mainstream media that will replace the existing players. So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Yeah, no.
As it ever was. Kevin has a really good TED Talk on how to be an optimist. I'm going to have to watch it a few more times.
You need to watch it every week.
Practice a little bit more.
Practice makes perfect.
His book, Colors of Asia, is available at Amazon now. What a beautiful idea. The Colors of Asia, some of his 300,000 images that he's been creating his whole life of his trips to Asia. What is that a painting behind you, a map?
That's a map. It's a map of the Mississippi River Valley, and the white part is what's happening here. Why is that doing that? It's really weird.
You're reversed,
Yeah, that's the problem. It's
other finger.
Anyway,
other side. Yeah, there you go. There's the white.
So this one is the current Mississippi River, and all these other ones are the archaic geological meanders over time. And I found this the Army Corps of Engineers map site, and I had it printed out on a big helical laser printer, which is really cool. So so it's kind of modern art, but it's actually a geological map.
What year was it made?
It was made in the 50s.
Oh, wow.
One of the things we've done to the Mississippi, sad to say, is we've blocked the meanders. We've built it up so that it can't do what a river does. It is kind of a tragedy. So this is the long past, not the long future.
It's the long past. And you were talking about Asia. So one of the things that's sort of really weird about my life is that most of my fans and most of my readers are in China.
Really?
Oh, yeah. By orders of magnitude. Yes. I am the Alvin Toffler of China.
What?
Yes. Yes,
That's fantastic.
I am. And so I'm recognized on the street and airports and stuff. And so, and I just finished a book, which was released 2 months ago in China, that is only available in Chinese. There is no English edition. And it was called 2049, or it's called 2049, which was 25 years from when it was co-written with a Chinese author. And it's also the centennial of the People's Republic. And it's basically they're positive scenarios for the future of the world and for the future of China. And it's part of a larger project that I've been working on, which is the 100-year desirable future. Again, which is a scenarios, plural, for a world that I would like to live in 100 years. And part of my process of trying to, live out the optimistic view to make it something that we can have a picture of, because every single Hollywood movie, almost without exception, there might be one exception, in the movies, AI is a disaster.
Yeah, it's always a dystopia.
Always a dystopia. And we need other pictures, other role models, other images to aim for, to make it possible. Because that's one of the reasons why AI why people are afraid of it, because every single story they've been told.
It's all we've been told. Yeah.
It's a disaster.
Yeah.
And so, so this book in China was a little bit part of it, but it means I spent a lot of time in China, in going into the most remote tier 3 cities, villages, towns, talking to people, trying to get a sense of what China wants. And part of my current agenda is to help China become cool, because it's not cool right now, but it should be cool.
I share a deep love of China. I was a Chinese major in college, and
there you go.
I love the country. I love the people. In a way, I'm very saddened by our current relationship with China.
It's infuriating, and there's so many. There's about 3 million people, students who studied in the U.S., went back to China, are now in positions of power. They love America. They have huge respect for it. And many of them actually have trouble getting visas coming back now.
When did you first go there, Kevin?
95 or so.
It had just opened.
Well, it opened in the 80s.
Oh, before that, yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
When I was at the Examiner way back when, we had the first visit of Chinese chefs to America. I took them to McDonald's. And it was such a big deal. It was this sense of an alien culture that we had no contact with.
Yeah.
And here were the first beginnings of contact.
Right.
And it was magical. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
No. By the way, while you're traveling, if you're traveling the world, I always recommend going and visiting a McDonald's because they're all very different.
They really are.
They're not
It's
these
true.
weird
Japanese Big Mac is not the Big Mac you're expecting.
Or India. Go to India.
French Mac dough, very different.
Yes. No, it's really great.
Kevin has a really good article on, if you want to go to China, about what to do, what apps to install. I really like that. It makes me want to go back badly.
Yeah. They have this parallel universe because of the Great Firewall, and none of your apps are going to work there. So they have their own version of everything, which you absolutely need to use to just get around.
Is it still okay to go, you think, now under the current climate?
Okay, go. Well, it's okay for me. What can I say?
Yeah.
Especially
if you leave the big cities and you go out into the country.
No, it's a fantastic place to travel because travel's so easy. They have this 28,000 miles of high-speed rail.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like they built high-speed rail to very remote places that will make no economic sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
However, as a visitor, why not?
Yeah.
They've got 350 kilometer mile an hour, 350 kilometers per hour train to this little tiny village. Yes, it's like teleporting there. So it's really easy to get around. It's not too expensive. The people are very, very welcoming to Americans and others. And I think the Chinese are not that far apart from Americans in many ways. I think of all the people, I think the Chinese share our sense of humor the most.
Yeah.
And they're immigrant. They're riding on immigrant hybrid energy in the way that America did. America was this melting pot of all the people from around the world coming to and interacting with each other of different languages, different backgrounds, and that's happening in China. But it's all internal immigration. So the people coming from Xinjiang or Guangzhou, they speak completely uninterpretable languages to each other, except that they share a common language, Mandarin, that they learn in school. But they're coming from very different backgrounds, and they're mixing in the cities like Shenzhen, which now has 23 million people. None of them were born there. Okay, none. 23 million people have just moved into a brand new city built within the last 25 years, and all of them are immigrants. And all of them are kind of 30 years old, too. And so that energy is what is propelling China right now, is this immigrant energy. And so they share many of those kind of qualities with America. And I think Americans should go there and see for themselves rather than reading about it.
Yeah, I agree. Kevin, thank you so much for spending time with us. It's always inspiring to talk to you.
I feel bad talking so much. I wanted to hear what
No, that's why you're here.
That's
You're
what
our
you're
guest.
here for.
You're the interview subject. If you didn't talk, it'd be hard to do the
I'm
show.
having a monologue. I wanted to have a conversation.
Kevin, I agree. Let's have you back and we'll have a conversation. Always inspiring. So many great books. KK.org is a great place to start. He's got a newsletter, Substack.
Yeah.
You buy the books, get the new one, The Colors of Asia.
Right.
2049 is available in translation, it looks like, which is...
No, it's not. Unfortunately, and there won't be one either.
Interesting. Okay.
I do have, for people who love art, have a graphic novel that was made 20 years ago, and it's about angels and robots and AI, and what happens if the AIs decide to become spiritual and demand.
Is that the Silver Cord?
That's the Silver Cord. It's about astral travel and other kin and drones and AIs. It's kind of way ahead of its time.
Do you travel astrally when you go to bed? Are you an astral traveler?
I don't, but I have had out-of-the-body experiences. So the silver cord, for those who are keeping score, is the virtual cord that connects your real body with your astral body when you are roaming around. And if it gets severed, you die.
Yeah. I'm going to read this. You've given us a number of assignments, Kevin. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's really
for everything
great. I love to see you guys again.
Well, let's not make it another 15 years.
For the first time. Yeah, let's do it more often than every decade.
I hope so. I will. We'll make a point of it. Thank you, Kevin.
Alrighty.
Take care. Kevin Kelly, everybody.
Yep.
The
Bye-bye.
Optimist.
Yes, the Radical Optimist.
The Radical Optimist. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed this highlight from Intelligent Machines. You know, we do the show every Wednesday. You can watch us do it live. Or, as they say, like and subscribe. There's a link down below. Thanks.